What if I told you by the end of this video, you would have been able to build one of these?
Hi, Sarah here from Urban Land Queensland. I'm just following up after you submitted your property inquiry online. Thanks for reaching out.
It's a fully functional AI receptionist that works 24/7, never misses a call, and costs less than $50 a month. Hi everyone, welcome to Build and Bloom. My name is Ryan. Today we're kicking off with a complete 6-part series where we're going to build an AI voice receptionist from scratch. Very minimal coding required. Now I know you're thinking that sounds complicated, but trust me, follow the recipe, follow the steps, we'll build this out for you. And if you need some assistance, you're welcome to join our school groups, and we'll be able to walk you through it. And all the JSONs will also be in our school group. So if you do need a little bit of assistance, you're welcome to join us there. All right. So what do most businesses fail, and why does this have so much value for most businesses? Okay. A lot of businesses, they lose a lot of revenue because 42% of calls go unanswered, slow response times, and the receptionist costs usually a little bit over $35,000 to $50,000 a year. Okay, so after our calls and inquiries are usually lost, and usually stuff like that, that therefore means you're just losing revenue ideally. The beautiful thing about a voice AI receptionist is that it's available 24/7. There's an instant response. It's cost effective and it's scalable. It can handle unlimited calls. I'm pretty sure ElevenLabs has a maximum of, I think it's 10 to 20 calls that you can do simultaneously. So it's highly scalable, and you can provide a lot of value for a lot of businesses when it comes to voice receptionists. Okay, so what are we going to be building in this series? Is going to be able to answer incoming calls automatically. It's going to recognize repeat callers by phone numbers, book appointments directly into the calendar, send SMS follow-ups automatically, update CRMs in real time, and make outbound calls to leads. This will also have the ability to make inbound calls, which is pretty easy. I'll walk you through all of that. The inbound calls are usually set up through ElevenLabs. The 5 tools we're going to be using. We're going to be using ElevenLabs, N8N, Airtable, Twilio, and Cow.com. The reason we use ElevenLabs is because it has more emotion, has the most natural AI voices. And we're also going to be going through a retail AI, which is a little bit more scalable because it's a little bit more of a robust system. N8N, which is the automation hub, ideally what we call this is pretty much the brain. It connects everything together. There's a few ways that you could do N8N. You could pay for the subscription. And I think the subscription, let's have a look. How much is the N8N subscription? The N8N pricing sits at about, that looks like $40 odd a month. However, there is a way where you can get it for free. Let me know if you want me to make a video with that. And ideally, what you really do is you upload it on Railway, and once you upload it on Railway, you pretty much just self-host the N8N. We're going to use Airtable. The reason we use Airtable is because it's a very easy visual database, and it's free. Once you start getting into the higher usage, I think it's usually around 10,000 records, is when 10,000 or 1,000 is when you would have to start paying for it. Twilio is industry standard telephony, which is the platform that we use to get the phone numbers, and it's what gives us the ability to make the calls and send the SMSs. We use Cow.com for appointment booking, which I'm going to be walking you through. You can use Google. You can use Google Calendar, and there are other appointment booking systems and integrations that you can use. We just prefer to use Cow.com more. I'm going to be showing you guys how to use Cow.com. Cost breakdown: the ElevenLabs costs about $22 a month, and N8N Cloud it's about €20 a month, not $20. Sorry, it is $20 a month if you put it on a cloud. Which is uploading it through Railway, and you're utilizing it through a cloud ideally, and ends up being significantly cheaper. I think it's $15 in comparison to about 40. That looks like about, I think it's $40 AUD a month. All the other tools are free. Twilio is about $10 a month. However, it is important to note that Twilio, after a certain amount, they start charging you by the minute if it's a call. This is perfect for real estate businesses, agencies, service providers. We primarily right now provide services for real estates and agencies. This has the beautiful thing about this is totally customizable. You'd be able to quote requests, schedule appointments, make consultation bookings, lead qualifications, property inquiries. It's fully customizable. I think that's one of the most beautiful things about conversational AI. Ideally, you can attach multiple facets or a bunch of information in the conversational AI and you'll be able to utilize that information quite well, quite seamlessly. And it also does depend on the prompting, which I'll give you the prompt that we used or I used, which you're welcome to copy. However, another thing that you can use is you can kind of just ask ChatGPT or you can ask Claude or whatever to create you a prompt, and you just kind of tweak and play around with it until ideally it works. Today is pretty much just going to be an introduction and setup. I'm going to be showing you how to set up the different tools and what you actually need. So what I'm going to get you guys to do, this is our first video. You're going to be creating your accounts. You're going to get the API keys, and we're going to make the first test call. Okay, so I'm going to need you guys to open a new browser, have a notepad ready for API keys. However, you can just copy and paste them into a spreadsheet. It is very, very important that you guys keep your API keys very safe and secure, because your API keys ideally is the code, I guess we would say, that gives and it could give people access to your credits and your money, ideally. So it is quite important for security reasons as well. If you're doing this for businesses or if you're doing this for yourself, doesn't really matter. The security element is quite important in regards to protection of your own data and encryption. You're welcome to pause the video at any time. And if you need any help, join our school community and we'll help you get everything started. So let's go all the way back to, where are we? We're going back to, sorry. Cool. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is your ElevenLabs. So ElevenLabs is where you will be setting up your agents. So this is the ElevenLabs. This is how you send out a test call, which is what I just did for you. However, if you're starting out from the beginning, we're just going to go through from the very, 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 very top. When you sign up, you get this page, and you just, if you want to build an agent, you just go build agent, business agent, new agent, whatever you want to do. So if it's real estate, you click real estate, food, beverage, blah, 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 customer support, outbound calls. Let's say if we want to go for scheduling, we go real estate demo. If you have a website, it is good to add the website on there because it gives the agent the ability to extract information from your website, and it will be able to give the information to the potential client. Describe what you are. Great, beautiful. So here we are. So this is how it would look like if you have for your agent. Things that are important to note is the agent ID, the name obviously, and if you go through here, this is your first message. However, what we're going to use is we're going to send our first message using pre-call data. So when you get the webhook, it's going to read our Airtable. And once it reads our Airtable, it's going to respond, which will give us the ability to respond in a specific way. So I'll give you an example. So this is the response. So the first message has the name of the individual, which the good thing about this, if it's an outbound, it makes it very specific and it's customizable, which we're going to change this here to first message. So what you'll do is first message. And usually what that happens is this is going to come back down here. This, ideally, what that means is it's going to wait for this information from that. It's going to wait for this information from your webhook in order to satisfy that need. System prompt, you get your personality, blah, 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 your environment, tone, goal, appointment scheduling, need nurturing, text confirmations, database. It is important for you to have guardrails. I think the important thing about guardrails is prevents hallucinations, or it can just help the agent be a little bit more clean and concise. However, what you also can do is, sorry, yes, here we go. What you also can do is change the temperature. So the higher the temperature, the more creative it's going to be. I think if you're doing more customer service stuff, you kind of do want it to be more not overly creative, maybe something in the middle, like here. And the reasoning effort we found the best is probably low or medium. I don't want to make the creative temperature too high, otherwise it just goes out too far. We're going to be going through all these, this gives the agent the ability to end the call, to transfer to an agent or transfer to a number. So it'll transfer to another agent if necessary, transfer to a number, voicemail detection, which is also pretty handy. You also always want to make sure that you save. So if you say because we've added this element here, we have to always put something there, and you save it. One thing that you also need to make sure is when you're doing a voice call, this has to be EULAW for telephony. All right. So otherwise, it's not going to work. The TTS output has to be EULAW 8000 H3. I usually prefer to turn that on because it just makes the agent faster, which is like the flash model. And from here, you can just kind of pick your voice depending on what you want to hear. Speed, I usually like to have the speed a little bit high and latency as high as possible, because what latency is the ability for it to respond to the person. Cool. Security system prompt, which is this one, the first message, which is what we customized here. So you want to ensure that one's turned on. Post call webhook. This is how you send data out in regards to how the call went, duration of the call, blah blah blah, all that other information. You also want to ensure that you have the fetch initiation client data from webhook. So what this does, it sends the information from the Airtable or from the webhook to the agent, so the agent can actually read or can understand who the person who's called. It's pretty cool because if someone calls, it has the ability to figure out the name of this person and the information that has been shared. Okay, so that is your ElevenLabs setup. Another thing that you're going to need from your ElevenLabs, it is going to be your API keys. So if you want to get your API keys, you would go through settings. Sorry, the settings? No, it is developer options, and you go create API. and you're going to create a new API key, name it. You want to give it text to speech, speech to text, sound effects, yes, 11Lab agents, read and write, and models. You usually just want to go through all of these. Voice generation, voices, audio native. Yep, yep, cool. And you can create key, and you want to ensure that you have this saved somewhere. Okay, so copy that, and you're going to save that to your clipboard. So save that somewhere, or save it to copy it to your clipboard, and make sure that you store that somewhere safe, because that one's pretty important. And as you can see, I've got a whole bunch of unsecure ones which I probably need to delete. All right, now let's move on to N8N. N8N. So this is the N8N pricing. So you can just start a free trial. I'm just gonna. And once you do that, what you're gonna end up on this main page. And what you do, you just create workflow. Once you create workflow, you add first step. There's a couple ways you can do this. What we're gonna do is we're gonna give you the JSON. So what you can do is you can import from a file, and then you go to wherever that is, download the JSON, ensure the JSON works. The other thing that you're going to need is going to be your Airtable database built. And what you can do is you can go through Airtable and just copy these, but ensure that they have the right text, which we'll build in the next video. We'll go through all of this, and once you do that, you should be all good. The next part is your Twilio. Where do you get your Twilio phone numbers and SMS? So when you go into Twilio, the Twilio was a little bit of a pain for me to figure out, to be honest. But it's actually, we got there in the end. So you go to your account dashboard. What you're going to need from your Twilio is you're going to need a new number. So what you do, so you buy a number. Once you buy a number, they're usually quite cheap. Maybe probably, I think it's like $1, depending on where it is. Yeah, something pretty cheap. And I'm just gonna do one now. You want to make sure you have something that's gonna give you the ability to do both. Fax is not that big of a deal. MMS, you can. It's usually about $3. Doesn't really matter. And once you do that, you should be able to access your mobile number, your phone number. What you're going to need from here is you're going to need your account SID. So what you do with your account SID is, if you want to import the number into your ElevenLabs, when you go phone numbers, import phone number from Twilio, you label it, your account SID is going to go in here, and the mobile number that you're trying to move over is going to go in there as well. And that's ideally what you really primarily need to do for Twilio. The next part, which will be the last and final part that you're going to need, is your cow.com. This is the booking system that we prefer to use. So what you're going to do is you go into API keys, just like the other one. You're going to create a new one, name the key, and copy that one. Ensure that you have that saved somewhere safe. And once you have all that saved somewhere safe, what we're going to be going through in our next video is how do we actually put it all together from the beginning all the way to the end. So we're going to be going through every single one of these nodes, the post, the pre-call data, the post-call data, which is the follow-up system. So I'm going to show you how to build all of this out. In the final set of the series, you're going to get the JSON prompt, all of these, and you'll be able to build this out. This is a follow-up system. So this is the pre-call data. The pre-call data is what sends the information into the ElevenLabs agent of like this is the person, this is who it is, and then if it needs to read any information in regards to SMS, blah blah blah, it'll read that too. This is the once the first call occurs, this is a follow-up system where it's going to call for this. It's going to make a second call, update the Airtable depending on what call status this is. If it's first follow-up, second follow-up, third follow-up, or it's unreachable. And then it's going to go to second call, send initial contact, or get ID, or third call, text, and get ID number 3, or if it's like a failed call. Once all of that is done, you should be able to call outbound. Calling inbound is quite easy because you just put your number. You would attach your number to calling inbound is pretty easy because all you really need to do is attach the number to the agent, and once you attach the number to the agent through here, phone number and the assigned agent, that's going to be the inbound. Inbound is pretty easy. The outbound is probably the most important part. And by the end of this series, you're going to be able to fully have all of this functional and working. You're going to have this functional and working, and it's going to ideally. So by the end of this 6-part series, you're going to have this outbound system working. But before we finish, we're just going to do a outbound test call. So you go, if you want to do a test call, you go outbound, create a batch call. You're going to select the phone number which you would have added through the ElevenLabs add phone number. Select agent, which would be the YouTube demo, and what you're going to do, you're going to click test call here, and demo, and we're going to give it a call, and we'll send test call, and here we go.
I'm from Build and Bloom. I'm calling because you inquired about an AI co-pilot.
Hey, how are ya?
Hello? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. This is Ava from Build and Bloom calling about your recent inquiry regarding our AI co-pilot service. I'd be happy to help you with more information or schedule a demonstration.
Oh, yeah, sure. No. Okay, obviously that did not sound right. So what we're going to do is we're going to, when you have stuff like that happen, obviously that's going to happen. That means when you're doing a test call, you need to ensure that this first message aligns with it. Property. And always make sure that you save. Also, another thing that I also forgot to go through is the LLMs. So GLM is the new one. It is recommended. However, I prefer using GPT 4.1. Excuse me. I prefer using GPT 4.1 because GPT 4.1 is a little bit better for tool calling and has a little bit lower latency. And for voices, you just make sure that you pick the right voice. So Obviously, Eric doesn't sound like a Ava, so we're gonna go with the female voice, and we're gonna save. So, and then we're going to go back to the test call outbound. So now you'll be able to hear the difference between the different LLMs. So let's do that again. So we'll go here. I'm gonna go here, test call, select agent, YouTube demo, and we're gonna go, let's go here, and voila. And give it a quick call again.
I'm from Build and Bloom. I'm calling because you inquired about a property.
Hi, I was just wondering, what properties do you have available?
Certainly I can help with that. May I ask if you're interested in a specific area, price range, or type of property, such as an apartment or a house? This will help me provide you with the most relevant listing.
I'm looking for an apartment.
Great, thank you for letting me know. Are you interested in a particular neighborhood or area? And do you have a preferred budget range for the apartment? This will help.
Great. So that's a quick demo. By the end of this, we're going to have this going through for the outbound. So please follow along. If you have any questions or you have any need more information, go through our. Well, you're welcome to join our school.com. You also now realize the importance of choosing the right LLM. You see the difference between the ChatGPT 4.1 and the GLM. So the 4.1 is a little bit more intuitive, is a little bit faster, lower latency, and the to calling element of it is significantly better. Okay, guys. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys in the next video.